Hello, wonderful people. This is your brother Cyril, and I hope you are doing good. Welcome. Today, I want to talk about forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is one of the widest preached topics, yet one of the most misunderstood. So, today, I want to shed a little light on that subject. In the Old Testament of the Bible, there is a story about a man called Nabal. Nabal offended King David, and King David wanted to take his revenge against him. He wanted to kill him for what he had done. But the wife of Nabal, called Abigail, went and pleaded with King David to forgive her husband Nabal, which David gladly did. However, we are told that God still punished who? Nabal, for the same mistake. Okay? Now the question is, why? And yet David, the offended, had forgiven him. If you ask a religious person that question, they will start telling you, stop questioning God. Who are you to question God? Will you argue with God? That is display of ignorance. If you don't know, say you don't know. Okay? Let not ignorance be your fallback. Now, forgiveness is a very interesting phenomenon. When you forgive someone, you are not helping your offender. Most people think that when you forgive someone, you are helping that someone. When you forgive someone, you are helping yourself. Forgiveness helps the forgiver more than the forgiven. Okay? Why? Because when you forgive someone, what you are doing is you are lifting that weight of hatred, that weight of bitterness off your chest, off your heart. What you are doing essentially is you are cleansing your frequency, you are cleansing your vibration to allow fresh and clean energy to flow through you. Because bitterness and hatred blocks the flow of clean energy. Okay? Bitterness blocks the flow of divine energy through you. So when you forgive, you are paving the way, okay, for clean divine energy to flow through you. When you don't forgive, when you hold bitterness in your heart, you are blocking that divine energy from flowing through you. So forgiveness essentially helps the forgiver more than the forgiven. When you forgive someone, what you are doing is you are opening the door for that person to receive forgiveness, even though they may not have asked for it. Because when it comes to the offender receiving forgiveness, it's an interesting phenomenon again, because it involves two stages. One, there is forgiveness from the offended, and there is forgiveness from the higher power, or the divine, or the universe, whatever you want to call it. Unless you forgive your offender, they will not receive forgiveness from the higher power. Are you getting me right? And number two, even if you forgive your offender, it doesn't guarantee them the forgiveness of the higher power. Why? Because to receive forgiveness takes a personal initiative. You have to take a personal initiative to seek forgiveness for you to receive forgiveness from the divine. Now most of you will be like, but I thought God forgives everything. Who told you? Who told you? Unless you take a personal initiative to seek forgiveness, you will not be forgiven by the higher power. And that is why Nabal was not forgiven, because he never took a personal initiative to seek forgiveness. He was proud. Okay? Had he taken a personal initiative to seek forgiveness, he would have been forgiven. Again, in the New Testament, we read that when this character, Jesus, was on the cross, he cries out, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." The big question is, were they forgiven? The answer is capital N-O. Why? Because they never took personal initiative to seek forgiveness. They were not forgiven. Now, this is a principle. It's not history. Please. These are principles of nature, not history. In a previous video, I talked about the story or the idea of the Bible being an allegory. If you haven't watched it, you can go back and watch it. So, these are principles, not history. Now, forgiveness is like opening the door of your house when it's raining outside. When you forgive someone, it's like opening the door of your house when it's raining outside, okay, for people to come and take shelter. You may even go to the extent of putting up a fire for people to get warm, and even go a further step and prepare some hot drinks for people to help themselves to. Even write a poster. You are all welcome to take shelter, warm yourselves by the fire, and help yourselves to hot drinks, and put it outside there, outside your door, for those who are out in the rain to see. But you can only do so much. It is the responsibility of those who are out in the rain to take the initiative to come and take shelter, warm themselves by the fire, and even help themselves to the hot drinks. They must take a personal initiative, failure to which they won't receive the privilege. So that is what forgiveness is like. When you forgive someone, you are opening the door for them to be forgiven by the higher power. But if they don't take a personal initiative to receive that forgiveness or to seek it, they still won't be forgiven. That is how it works. When you forgive someone and they go to the higher power for forgiveness, they will be forgiven. They will be forgiven readily, because there is no one holding anything against them. However, when you fail to forgive, when these people or your offender needs forgiveness, he won't receive it. Why? He has to come back and settle the scores with you. Why? Because you are standing in his way. You have something against him. So he has to come and settle the scores before he can receive forgiveness from the higher power. You are a barrier, you are a blockade in their way to receiving forgiveness, and as such, you are equally guilty. Interesting, right? Eh? You haven't set them free. And so you are preventing them from receiving forgiveness. You are equally guilty. That is why it is important to forgive someone even when they haven't asked for that forgiveness. When you forgive, you are setting them free to receive forgiveness from the higher power. When they need it, they will freely receive it. You will not be found to be a barrier in their way. You have nothing against them. And so, you will not be to blame. Forgiveness again is like if I take this pen and I give it to you. I stretch out my hand to give it to you. You see, by stretching out my hand to give it to you, that doesn't make you have the pen. You have to play part. You have to stretch your hand and receive it. Unless you do that, you will not have the pen. Okay? So, I can forgive you, but unless you stretch your hand to receive that forgiveness, you will not have it. That is how it works. You must take personal initiative for you to receive forgiveness from the higher power. Else, don't expect it. It's a personal initiative. It must come from your heart. And probably even confess it. Okay? So then, do you see why it is useless to hold grudges? It is useless to hold grudges because even if you forgive someone, it doesn't guarantee them the forgiveness of the higher power. So why should you burden yourself with things that actually mean nothing? It's useless. Set them free. They may receive it if they act accordingly, or they may not. That is none of your business. But you must not be found to be standing in their way when they need forgiveness, because you will be equally guilty. I hope you got my point. However, in capital letters, forgiving someone, as I said when I started, doesn't change that person. Forgiveness changes the forgiver, not the forgiven. And as such, it is in order. If you feel like you need to forgive someone, forgive them. If you feel like you don't want to continue being friends with them, unfriend them. It is okay. There is no law that says that if you forgive someone, you must continue being friends. No. It is okay to forgive and unfriend. Why? Because forgiveness changes the forgiver, not the forgiven. If someone was your friend and they were thieves and you didn't know, and this person stole from you, you didn't know he was a thief, but then he stole from you. It's okay to forgive them, but forgiving them doesn't change them. If you continue keeping them close, that person will steal from you again. So, what's the most logical thing to do? You forgive and unfriend. Because it's the same person, the same character. If you keep them close, they will continue hurting you in the same way over and over and over again. So it is okay to forgive and unfriend. There is nothing wrong with that. You release them both from your heart and from your life. That is okay. I hope that helps.